And in this corner, we have at 515 pounds and 1,200 feet tall, Ross Gordon Walters.
Wait, do you really think I weigh that much?
I mean, you're 1,200 feet tall. It's got to go somewhere.
Welcome to another episode of Culture Couch. We still don't have that
Censorship.
No, we're not there yet.
No,
sponsorship deal from Crate and Barrel. Crate and Barrel,
please.
I know you're watching. You have cold feet. I get it. You're a big corporation. There's a lot of red tape.
They move slow.
But maybe if you tune into these episodes, you could be enlightened as to do better business. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think we can help Crate and Barrel.
They're listening.
I think they have it as a requirement for all their teams, at least their managers.
Well, Ethan, welcome to my show, man.
No. I was about to say, don't welcome me. I'm a resident now.
You're a friend of the program.
I'm a friend of the program. So no introductions necessary. No thanks necessary. Thank you for having me again and again and maybe again.
Man, I hope you guys enjoy this. I know that I do.
It's fun.
It really is fun, man. I mean, we just get to come on here and talk about our company culture. If our culture was not an emphasis of our jobs, I just wouldn't like working here.
No.
No. I do enjoy working in coffee. Of course, that goes a long way. But just having a great place to come to, man. We have a lot of fun, and we try to be intentional about it. It doesn't just happen on accident.
And this helps us too. Talking about it, being intentional about what we care about and why we share the philosophies that we do with our team,
Yeah, absolutely. And last week we sort of cracked the top,
the proverbial egg.
Yeah, of one of our most talked about values, put empathy into action.
Now we're about to whisk it up.
Now we're about to start making some eggs.
How do you like your eggs?
It would take too long for me to tell you. So we have our orientation pulled up here that we put our new hires through. And we've got our orientation just goes through our mission, vision, and values, like we said last week. So put empathy into action is the value today.
We'd show you the visuals, but we'd have to kill you. So
right, you have to get hired for us to do that. So
you can hear the words.
Good luck. The little tagline we have here is having the eyes to see people.
Okay.
And the heart to care.
Wow.
Right. So last week we talked about values being verbs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So having the eyes to see people is sort of the noun part of the value, empathy. Empathy is I just see this person. And the heart to care is the prompting towards action, right? And we talked about, whenever you're not at work, like if you see a mom that's struggling with a stroller, you open the door for them. That's what you do normally as a normal, decent human being. But whenever we're at work, we just result to, let me just do my job description.
What's the minimum standard?
Right. And so, we talked about all that. It's great. The first little slide in our orientation here about put empathy into action is this quote from Maya Angelou. Is that right?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Do you mind if I read it?
I was trying to sort of lead there. Thanks for spelling it out.
You got it. Maya says, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Right.
Feelings, huh?
Yeah.
A company that cares about feelings?
What?
What?
That doesn't make any money.
Boring.
Wrong. It does make money.
Wee woo. Why is it? Why would we put that in orientation?
Well, I think it's really fitting for a coffee company, not even just the coffee shop side, but like our values transcend just the coffee shop. They also go into our roasting operation. That quote is not only about our customers either. It's about people internally, me and you. It's not just about what I do or what I said. It's about how I make you feel in our relationship. And we've just drawn from this quote a lot. And whenever we're in our orientation, we talk a lot of stories we tell a lot of stories rather about times where we've been into service establishments and we felt a certain way. And that is the thing that you walk away from that experience with, is how you felt. And of course, the way you feel in a service establishment is a direct product of the environment you're in and how the employees treat you, and maybe an awesome conversation you had with the person you were there with. You have a fond feeling, fond memory of the place. But I always think about like in the tech industry, like if you're building out a website, right?
Yeah, I know what a website is.
Someone comes onto your website and you're trying to look at this website you're designing through their eyes. Be like, what is the first thing that they are seeing?
Isn't that the UX, user experience? It's a whole industry.
Right.
People that get into UX design.
Yeah.
It's so important. The way that someone perceives something is so important. There's some people making some good money off that.
Yeah, and there's these companies that are paying them billions of dollars.
We can't even calculate how many $1 million.
And so we're trying to do the same thing with our cafe. We're trying to do the same thing with our boxes of coffee that come in the mail, is get in the shoes of our customers or our prospective customers and make them feel something great.
Yeah, and there's something, we haven't talked about this example in a while, but the power of experience is huge in this kind of interaction. Remember we would talk about people saying, oh, the best coffee I've ever had, it's when I was in Costa Rica and I was on the mountain that the coffee was picked.
Right.
They roasted it in front of me. They ground it and brewed it right there, and I drank it, and it was the best coffee I've ever had. Newsflash, the coffee probably wasn't that good.
No.
But you cannot deny that it was a beautiful experience, a very special, niche, unforgettable moment.
Right.
Not saying you can just create an awesome experience and get away with crappy coffee. We like to consider that having an amazing product complements the entire experience, but there's so much more around someone's experience in your space than just the coffee.
Right. When you think about, the next slide in this is, okay, so the last slide was we want to make people feel a certain way. And this next slide is talking about us creating an environment where guests feel seen, cared for, and related to. And that's really simple, but to put it even more simply, we want to treat people as if they were guests in our home, right? Can you think of some ways that we've tried to implement this in the cafe? Making people feel seen, cared for, related to, just anything like that.
Yeah, well, I know when we're doing orientation like this, we'll talk about what does it mean for someone to be seen in the cafe, what does it mean for someone to be cared for, and what does it mean for someone to be related to, and that's usually can be comprehensively achieved in an interaction where it's just, it actually kind of connects later around the idea of curiosity, of extending yourself to them and saying, asking a question, asking what's going on in their lives, in their day, how they ended up at Valor, and then relating to that information. I know you gave the example about, oh, I just put my kids in school.
Right.
That blah, blah, blah. How was that for you? And it's just bringing the humanity back into it and connecting, but not only connecting, but remembering too, because an experience is amazing, but a consistent experience it's something else entirely. If someone can come back and be like, oh my gosh, Robert, how are you, man? How was that cappuccino you got last time? How are the kids doing? Blah, 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 blah. So I think we do that in very personal ways. And then there's other ways when you're talking about what does it look like to treat people like guests in your home, that there's just this sort of the only policy is make it right when it comes to what happens when something's not going right.
Right.
And we take that from, someone drops their plate at your house, you're getting them a fresh plate of food.
Right.
Someone spills something, someone orders the wrong thing, it's not like let's get you back in line and we're gonna do blah blah blah. It's like, no, we're gonna make this right. And there's a business aspect to that of sure there's costs, but we value making people feel seen, cared for, and related to over $4 sometimes.
Yeah, and to get philosophical, maybe anthropological,
Sociological
on it. These are just like the basic human needs that we want to feel a sense of belonging. We want to feel like we're cared for. We want to feel related to, and we want to feel seen. And so we just happen to serve coffee and do all those things, and people love coming back.
Right.
And yes, it's because the coffee tastes good, but ultimately it's because we're living out this value, right?
Totally. Next slide.
Yeah, we've got core values, and then another thing we got is service philosophies. Service philosophies are more specific sort of applications of values, more actionable things. And the service philosophy here is guest first impressions. And we say here that the first 5 seconds upon entry set the tone for the entire guest experience. And that's just so true. I mean, that's why we put it in the orientation. But you there in YouTube land, have you ever been to a service establishment and you walked in and you were confused as to how the whole thing worked? Do I place my order and then sit down, or do I sit down and then place my order? Are you going to come to me? Why is there someone that looks like Ethan in the store? What are his intentions? What's wrong with him?
Does he have a weapon on him?
Do you?
No. I mean,
your guns.
Right there.
Yeah.
I got two guns right here.
But we're just looking to eliminate all of those questions, whether that's on our website when someone's in our web store, whether that's in our wholesale program, whether that's as a guest in our cafe. We want to eliminate all of the questions that somebody might have so that they are just like their first impression with our brand, whatever that is a good one, because the first 5 seconds set the tone for the entire experience.
Right. And transparently, there's a example I can provide that's kind of a miss on this for us, and that's a lot of times some people kind of come into this space with a little bit of a head of steam, and they walk right past where they're supposed to order.
Right.
And that seems like a simple thing, like, oh hey, just order over here, and you're off normal. No, if your first touch point has to be a correction with somebody, you start in the negative pretty hard.
Right.
And the rest of the time is we're chasing back to get to a better place with them. And we do, because we're awesome.
Right.
But it's like, dang, we've thought of so many things, and we do, and that's not every person, which is great. But it is amazing to see the difference in, like, someone walks in and maybe they stop and they get greeted right away. They see where they're supposed to order. They're in line already.
Right.
The cafe is clean. They already see a space for them that they can sit at. They see the cool lights. They see the cool tile. They see the cool people, the cool coffee. They're like, I'm home, baby.
Yeah.
And that's powerful.
Yeah.
That first 5 seconds, I think we have a human superpower of, like, projecting how something's gonna go.
Yeah.
5 seconds, we kind of take scan. And we're like, okay, I'm safe here. People are gonna be nice to me. This is a good thing.
Right.
Versus, sir, you move to the front, please, or nobody greets you and everybody's just staring at you. It's a hard place to come back from.
Yeah, and it was especially hard to live out this value during COVID times, right?
Right.
I mean, like, people are already walking around, like, on edge. I can remember, like, walking into places during the lockdown time or whatever. It's like, I just don't want to do something wrong. Like, if I step over here, is someone going to yell at me? And
even a funny example of that is I try, even when I'm taking orders, to greet everyone that comes into the space. And there's a little bit of a line, which is already tough in COVID because people are like, where do you stand? Blah, blah. This guy walks in and I'm like, hey. He thinks I'm throwing up like a back away like a defensive
Oh,
hand.
my gosh.
And he like slowly backs out the door. I'm like, oh, no. Hey, you're fine. Come in. I'm sorry. I was just saying hi. But we're so used to like breaking the rules and getting schwacked for it.
Getting schwacked, and not in a good way.
A bad schwack.
And yeah, I mean, really what we're talking about there is, yes, we're talking about the human empathy side, but we're also talking about empathy from a design perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to lay things out in our floor plan with our colors, all these intangible, things that add up to an awesome service experience. But they're just a product of us being a startup and not having a lot of money when we open, that cafe, and us doing it for the first time and us having some restrictions. We had to lay out the space that way just because we had to.
Yeah.
And so now we're having to rely more heavily on the human side to like make the space acceptable. And it's not like that cafe is bad. It's freaking awesome.
It's amazing.
But, in our second location that we're hopefully opening soon, we've had more liberty with designing it in an empathetic way.
It will be perfect.
Right.
No problems.
No problems. And I'm sure we'll learn even more just how to design the natural flow of a space. So, whether that applies to you or not, there's definitely ways that you can implement empathy in your workplace. And it's more than just being nice. Being nice is like the tiniest part of it. It's more about getting in the shoes of the customer, getting in the shoes of your coworker, trying to understand where they're coming from, and then modifying your behavior to make them feel seen, cared for, or related to. I just feel like that goes such a long way, not only just with being at the nice coffee shop, but also with making it an awesome business, right? Because we're just trying to figure out, what do customers want?
Counting others more significant than yourself. It's a powerful, powerful place to be.
It really is.
Thanks for chopping it up with us this week, guys.
Can you sign us off with the song you did last week?
Yeah, I can totally remember. Culture Couch, Culture Couch. Thanks for watching Culture Couch. Stay tuned next week for the next episode of Culture Couch. Hopefully Crate and Barrel is going to sponsor Culture Couch. Crate and Barrel, if you're listening, please, please, please. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye-bye.